Fair use. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107.
O Yahweh, Kuma, Yahweh, Wayapusto O Yazeaka, Wayanusa Misanecha Bitunecha. Arise of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Give him thanks by saying Hallelujah.
I'm doing this video, transformation of Candace Owens or narrative, the Jaguar. Can a leopard change its spots? And of course, I'm always optimistic, hoping that she is actually going to flip over to the Hebrew Israelite channel and believe in the true identity of Israel. I do believe that she is Edom and a descendant of the Black Popes. Obviously, she's in the Catholic Church. And I've done videos on her resemblances to the Edomites, the Black Edomites. And she and Oprah Winfrey very much resemble the Edomite and Nguni tribe. And so, but I do believe she is mixed race. She is potentially Jacob and Esau. So, but I still hope that she is making a true transformation. But I just want to take you through this journey through to where she is now, because the scripture says very clearly that Messiah instructed us to be not deceived in these last days. And Hasatan is working through crafting narratives. And so the fake Rev 2939s are going down right now, and there's going to be a whole flip either to the truth or to an antichrist. And so there are players out there in the field and in so-called new media, the new media players who are shifting the narrative. And of course, they're going to have to want to work it in the direction that the enemy wants to take it in. And I always show you can just go to Call for an Uprising. When you see these 666 hand signs being thrown up by people, then you're going to know that this is a coded allegiance with the enemy. And so this is why I still reserve comment for Candace, but I still hold out a prayer. And so let's get into her journey to date, since her, I guess you would call it, awakening from the time of leaving the Daily Wire and conflict with them and Ben Shapiro, only to end up on Piers Morgan to tell Jewish Rabbi Shmuley.
Here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism. So take it away, little Candace. I had it. I had the it factor there. I believed in myself and in my singing capabilities that I did not have when I was just a little tot weak in the knees. You guys know that song? I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. That song. And I had all the confidence in the world. And there you go. So I just went for it. A lot of you in the comments say, I always want to know what Candace is singing in that video in the beginning when I'm holding the mic. And I had to go back and get the video and show you guys what it was that I was singing. I want to be clear and have a great voice, but I believed in myself and in my singing capabilities that I did not have when I was just a little tot. I had it. I had the it factor there. I had it. I had the it factor there.
Yeah, it's time we talk about just how much of a joke Jaguars are. First of all, Jaguars will regularly clap Cayman by going into the water and dragging them out by their teeth like a disobedient child. And that's because Jaguars do something that no other big cat does. Because while lions, tigers, and leopards put their prey out of their misery by biting the neck, Jaguars apparently watch endgame and go directly for the head, which happens to be the Cayman's weak point. And since this walking vice grip has the strongest bite of any cat, that means it puts the Cayman in a coffin by biting through its skull and piercing its walnut-sized brain. After the Jaguar cancels his life subscription, he'll then manhandle the Cayman out of the water. Just for the record, Cayman can grow to weigh hundreds of pounds. It's like deadlifting a washing machine, but only using your teeth. Think about it like this. Leopards are strong enough to lift and carry their victims into the trees where they can eat them without having to pay taxes to lions or hyenas. Jaguars are literally everything leopards are on steroids, and the good kind too. The kind that helps you win Tour de France 7 times. So yeah, Jaguars will bully the crocodile's little brother. They can also weigh over 200 pounds, run at 50 miles per hour, and they look like this underwater. Since there's no immigration control for a homicidal Garfield on PEDs, sometimes they end up wandering into the US. Because they can climb, building a wall ain't bout to do shit. Jaguars are a cheat code that God forgot to patch.
Take note, this cat is comfortable underwater with the marine kingdom. As the scripture says in Jeremiah 13:23, can a leopard change its spots? No more can he who is accustomed to doing evil do good. But in Yahushua HaMashiach, the Edomites can, and there is a remnant of Edom, the women and children. This is why I'm highlighting Candace here again, because she is the one doing this job. This is the power of Esau, Edom, and they have a choice to do right or to do wrong.
In the previous lecture, we saw the possibility, and in my opinion, the probability of a tremendous deception in history of how Roman Catholicism and the Jesuit order managed to disappear underground in terms of its political capacity, and then to resurface later as though nothing had happened in between. But of course, the entire stage for the final conflict on this planet was set during that period.
So just to review, I did 2 prophetic videos. Yah gave me 2 prophecies on the ending of the Khazars and Ashkenaz, one 2 years ago, and then one 5 years ago previous to that. And it would be the Catholic Church that would bring them to an end. And I said the Catholic Church would be used to end them. And this is the whole kind of Jesuit thing. And Candace was used as a device to begin this ending. In 2019, this was one of the first, or probably the second, dreams and visions that I got that I was told to communicate. The word that was given was Ashkenaz is ended. That was what Yah said to me, and I'll show you on my phone. I texted it to my sister on December 30th. And I did that because so I could have a witness, but I was, I want to be cautious. I said, yeah, I need more confirmation. I just want you to see this so that you can know this is the date that I got the vision, okay? And I texted it to my sister. I said, by the way, I had a vision last night. A voice said, Ashkenaz is ended. Then I was shown a gold-covered casket with a golden cross and jewels erected on top of it. And it was in the center of the Catholic Church in Rome. And there was a funeral being held by the priests of Babylon, of the Catholic Church, for Ashkenaz, for the death of Ashkenaz. Okay? And so Ashkenaz is not only, you know, the Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenaz is Germany proper. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer, who is the strength of Japheth, who is the firstborn son of Japheth. So that's his strength, like how Shem's strength is Israel. Set up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, Ashkenaz, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as rough caterpillars. Also, in 2023, December, at the end of the year, I gave a prophecy of the fall of the czars. And of course, 2 weeks later, then, you know, New York opened up and they found out about all of these underground caves in New York where the small hats were doing stuff. Of course, we've had Netanyahu having these international criminal charges against him, and nobody is helping Israel in the Middle East from the West, except for America. And some of these dreams and visions included, you know, stuff around George Floyd and everything, and them scheming about it. And like, for example, George Soros setting that up. And so I just want you to be aware of this when you look at me as a teacher. And so here's a little bit about Candace and her rise with the Daily Wire and the conservatives. And then we'll get into a video I did previously on her connection to the Catholics and the popes that developed afterwards, or she became aware of afterwards, and her Svengali-like transformation, which is actually alluded to or is foreshadowed in her Daily Wire introduction here. Candace started out on the Daily Wire. Obviously, before that, she was sort of attached to Trump and other conservative movements. But this was her true kind of media debut on social media. And I want you to just take a look at it because it's going to help you to understand where we're going with this. We know, obviously, she had her big conflict with several of the people in the Jewish community, not all of them. She still maintains strong relationships with people in the Jewish community. However, let's just take a look at this because it is a strong indicator of what I'm talking about.
All right, Ben, it's my first day here. Do you have any advice for me?
So here's the thing. Never go in the dressing room when Knowles is in there.
Keep your back to the wall and never be alone in a room with Michael Knowles. The guy's an animal. He's a total animal.
He has this horrible habit, I'm not lying to you, of just taking off his shirt randomly. And it is a terror to everyone surrounding him.
I've heard this several times.
Yeah, no, of course.
Social media matters.
You're right.
In general, stay away from Knowles. I mean, like...
We all know it. It's just one of those secrets. It's like Matt Lauer, you know. It's like...
What celebrity would you be super nervous to meet? Who came up with this question? That's the
Oh my gosh.
lamest question.
What celebrity would you be super nervous to meet?
Vladimir Putin, because he's a murderer.
I'd probably be a little nervous to meet the Queen. The Queen. Definitely the Queen. I don't know. She's just been around.
Well, we would
for
have
so
to
long.
teach her
It's
to
like
curtsy.
respect, yeah.
We have to teach her to
I gotta
curtsy.
learn the curtsy and
She's a racist, you know.
yeah, exactly.
That's what
So
I'm
that
hearing.
makes me nervous.
You should be nervous.
Exactly.
What fictional character do you wish you could meet?
Oh gosh, you go first because I feel like I have an answer.
I don't have an answer.
You
I
come
don't
on.
care
You-
about this answer.
What? Come on.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Spider-Man? Oh, actually, that gave me a good idea. Mystique from X-Men. I actually want to be her. I think that'd be like the coolest superpower to have.
I don't know who that
Kind of changed the question. What? Matt didn't know who Mystique was.
I don't.
So I showed
I
him.
don't know who Mystique
What?
is. No, I
What is
don't.
going on in
Yeah,
this place? I was thinking Mystique from X-Men. Have you seen it?
Yes.
You know how many men at the Daily Wire don't know who Mystique from
Is she
X-Men?
the one who sucks your vitality out? Or if I
No!
got the wrong- Sorry. Oh my God.
That's Rogue.
That's Rogue.
She's like girls like.
Okay.
Yeah. She does this. Mystique is the one that goes like this. Did you see X-Men?
I did see X-Men.
No one else at the Daily Wire has seen X-Men, and I was like, how do you not know who Mystique is? And everyone was looking at me, and they were like, I don't know, and I had to show them, so I was like...
I mean, I feel like that might not be as evocative as you think it is.
No,
like if you made those motions,
That's
I wouldn't
what
have gotten
she
this.
does.
There are a lot of characters, and you're just gonna keep doing it, or?
Yes, because I need you to acknowledge that I look like Mystique a little bit.
I mean, you do, but you have to kick me.
Mystique is actually a shapeshifter. She was born to Raven Darkholm, so a black father. She is a mutant with the ability to shapeshift into anyone. Little is known of her life prior to her break-in into the Xavier Mansion. However, from what was revealed in X-Men, her early life was rather tragic. As a little child, her mutation was so abnormal to others that she feared going to school. She is a shapeshifter. She told them exactly who she was. So did she know that she would switch teams? You may not know it, but the Medici family, the Fulani,
and the Goonie tribe
are all descendants of Esau Edom. And the Medici family was related to Charles V, whose brother was the Pope. His son and offspring was Philip of Spain, who we see beside the two Arab men in the middle here. Now, again, their symbol was the male rhino with his exalted horn, or the unicorn. Edomites in Spain and the Edomites in the west coast of Africa were responsible for the slave trade. You can see the Fulani men also dress as women. And we see the women, again, style their hair like the male rhino. So you can see the exalted horn of the Edomite Fulani, and the Somalis are also Edomites. And so we can see it depicted with these women. You can see Edom in West Africa here in this image. And they were also known in Egypt to be the Hyksos. They were also known to be the Hyksos. The first major pointer of this direction is the claim by some Idomia groups that they are descended from a certain Edom. Of all the tribes of Nigeria today, only the Edom trace their ancestry to Edom, according to Irum Idu. So that includes the Edo tribe. And the Edo tribe and the Fulani were all responsible for the transatlantic slave trade of the Bantu diaspora. And Edom was the punitive founder and father that claimed the Edomites or ancient Egyptian roots. And they wore red linen, and they ruled in Egypt for a period of about 100 years, as I said, as the Hyksos. And we're going to see that there were actually priests in Egypt called priests of On, and oftentimes they were Assyrians, or they could be Edomites. They were Shemitic priests of On, and of course they were also Egyptian priests of On. But because the Shemites got so corrupted, they functioned as priests of On in Egypt also. So here is Edom in Nigeria today, E1B1B. Now they hide this and they just call the Bantus, who are E1B1A, and the E1B1B Edomites, they call them E3 now to kind of obscure the difference between the two, one being Esau and the other being Jacob. And of course, there was a famous slave trader named Iob, son of Esau, in the land of Esau. And he was a famous slave trader. We see the Edomites in Spain, and notice the shape of their head. Their head is kind of more triangular. You see his head is more triangular shaped because they were mixed with the Canaanites. And I'll show you why in a second. So he was a slave stealer who was captured and traded by the Yehudi, or the Yehudi Dean themselves, and taken to America. And then he was freed and became a hero in Europe. But we can see the European Edomites and the West African Arab Edomites look very much the same, with this triangular head, broader forehead, smaller jaw. And so when we look at the Israelites, we can see that there is a difference between Jacob and Esau. These are the Somali Edomites, again, with the more triangular shaped head. And so these are the Ashanti priests here on the bottom left. And you can see, again, they have this different head shape, which is called dolichocephalic. This is in the book Negro and the New World. And so this is the head shape of Jacob, with a stronger jaw versus the smaller jaw and broader forehead of the Edomites, because what? They mixed with Canaan. Esau married Basemath and Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittites. These are the Canaanites. And of course, he also married with Ishmael the Egyptian. And so this is where we get this particular look they have, with this more triangular shaped head in the Somalis. And we see it also in the Arabs, the Fulani Arabs, who are depicted here in this painting. And that head shape is called brachiochronic, or it's a mix of Hamitic and Asian, or Shemitic and Hamitic, okay? So Ham is what they would call Asian today. The Chinese are Hamites. But you see the difference in the head shape between these two. Once again, here is the dolichocephalic of the Israelites. You can see it in the women and the men, the very strong jaw and the well-shaped head. And then we see the brachiocranic compared to the dolichocephalic. It's much broader. And this is what we see in the Edomites. So here's a very old painting of Jacob and Esau, and we see Esau Edom again with this same head shape and Jacob with the longer dolichocephalic head shape. And we can see the Somalians, we see the Falash Ethiopians like Haile Selassie and some of the celebrities today, all with the same, this is Haile Selassie here, same head shape, same triangular head shape. And so this is how we differentiate between Esau and Jacob. This is an image of the 2,700-year-old Lachish relief in Judea, Israel, and it depicts the Israelite Judeans being taken captive by the Assyrians. This is the Lachish relief brought to life through an AI rendering of what they truly looked like. Again, it's the dolichocephalic head shape. Again, this is AI derived from a 2,700-year-old relief of the capture or of the Yehudis. And so I want you to take a look again at the horn that these Edomite Fulani women wear. And this is, once again, as I said, they were the priests of On, according to Genesis. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Japhanath, and he gave him the wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On. And of course, we see the same broad head shape with this Fulani woman as with Oprah Winfrey, with the eyes very far apart and the face very flat. And again, this more triangular head shape. And of course, with the priests of On, she actually owns a magazine called On. Now, because Esau killed Nimrod, according to the book of Jasher, please read it. Esau stole the coat of many colors from Nimrod after he killed Nimrod. And by stealing that, he became the inheritor of the kingdom of Babylon and the high priest of Babylon and Satan, a priest of On. And so again, we see the priests of On, we see the exalted horn, and these represent Egypt. We see the triangle shapes on both of these women's heads to represent the pyramid. Again, this is who sold everyone into slavery, and this is the exalted horn the women wear to symbolize the exalted unicorn horn of the Medicis, the Catholic Church, and the Arabs. All right, so they're all one thing. And so we see that Taraji P looks very much like this same head shape, triangular, very much like this Fulani woman. And we note, I am not a fan of hers, sorry to say. She always plays mammies and coons and loud black women and black women who condone LGBT. But we see the commonality with the Somali as well, with the more of a triangle head shape, who are also Edomites. All right. And we see Diana Ross. There's more history I've gone into with Ross or Roche being associated with Red and Edom, and even marrying in with the Russians and the Huns. So even Diana Ross has the same kind of a triangular head shape. And so these are the Edomites in America. So notice the horn, the exalted horn. So the women wearing the masculine exalted horn. And so we see it as the horn is very prominent amongst the Edomite women of Fulani, and these are the people who enslaved the African diaspora. And oftentimes they work in Hollywood like Oprah of On, working as priests of On or Eastern Star, and they promote an agenda. They promote an agenda to look like coons, but they are actually Esau Edom. And so here in this final slide, we have Candace wearing the exalted horn for her brand as the moniker of her channel. She has the same head shape and very similar face shape and look as this Fulani woman. So, and of course, her name is Owen or On, Candace On. So I just thought I would share that with you, family, to give you a little more revelation. I've said over and over and over again that the Black Edomites have played race over and over again because they're looking to flip this narrative purely on race so they can potentially usurp power from Jacob on the comeback. But of course, Yah is in control, and that's not going to happen. I've been wanting to do this video for about 4 days. So here it is, Candace Owen with the exalted horn for her brand. So this is just my opinion, family. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think there's any connections. I certainly do with the spirit of her actions towards the African diaspora and her attitudes around slavery. So, and also this agenda that I believe the Black Edomites are under. I can't say 100% that this is who Candace Owens is, but this is what I suspect. And also because of her striking resemblance to Charles V. And these are the Black popes. So Candace started getting into trouble when the Kyrie Irving thing happened and when she started to talk to Kanye West as he was being persecuted by the Jews. She maintained her friendship.
Candace and Ye are not allowed to come together. Why?
Was just on Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo. Wow.
Yeah.
You did Chris Cuomo?
Yeah. Tonight, like 30-minute segment, half talking, half a little bit back and forth or arguments. And then when you're landing, they're saying, oh, I can't be on Daily Wire, but I can be on all these platforms. And you said downstairs that they told you the reason is you weren't going to push back on me enough.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying stuff like, you need to understand and you need to behave. And he said that at one point in the interview. I said, whoa, let's play that back. You need to behave. You're not supposed to talk like that out loud, Chris. You know, we know that that's what it is. You're not supposed to talk like that out loud, Chris. That's why we're in your house right now, because they wouldn't let us talk on Daily Wire, specifically for me having the claim, the possibility that the darker Jew known as blacks that came from Africa could possibly be Israelites, that could possibly be Jew.
And I was just to be super open, I was confused by it because I'm like, are we saying that there's no such thing as Black Israelis? They live in Israel. So I don't know, maybe Kanye descends from it. Maybe I descend from it. Who knows, right? So I don't know why I'm making that claim. And I was confused by it because I'm like, are we saying that there's no such thing as Black Israelis? They live in Israel. So I don't know, maybe Kanye descends from it. Maybe I descend from it. Who knows, right? So I don't know why I'm making that claim. Like if you got up here right now and you were like, I'm a white male, why would you need to be deplatformed for that? Like, why would that be such a thing that you...
Yeah, if people could be transgender, why couldn't they be trans race? You can define who you are.
Rachel Dolezal is trans race. She got an OnlyFans. She's not deplatformed. She didn't get her Twitter account taken or Instagram taken. So that's kind of the question that I had.
That's where I take my refuge. That's where I take my refuge.
They said the reason why I couldn't be on Daily Wire is the Israelite comment. And every black person is fine with calling ourselves black and being called black. But when I bring up the idea that we're Jew because we are from Africa, the Bible was the majority is like set in Africa. Then it's challenging. And we talk about on the George Floyd documentary is called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. The idea that black people are not Jew is the greatest lie that's ever sold, because you don't see the Jewish abortion rate at the same level as the black abortion rate. 50% of black deaths a year is actually abortion. You don't see the Jewish divorce rate at the level of 70 something. You said the percent of black moms raising their kids by themselves. You don't see Jewish people shooting each other down in the street on World Star and then rapping about it. It's just not, there's not Jewish content like that. And also Jewish people do business together. And that's what I said on the Drink Champs. Hey, these are things that I'm envious of. Now everyone's, well, why are you calling them out specifically? When I said DEFCON 3, I didn't get an opportunity to say what that meant, but it meant I'm going to call out all these things that have been done to me specifically by Jewish people that so happen to be businessmen or businesswomen, but still, it was done by Jewish people to me, to the darker Jew. And I was going to go one by one. And the reason I said it like that is just to say, I know you guys are going to call this anti-Semite, and I'm not afraid of that title. Now I'm going to lean into that title. So call me whatever you want, because you call me void already. What's the definition of black? Void of color. Some people, artists may say it's all color. And it could also mean, like, it's like what they did when I ran for office, and they showed me on the TV, and they like blacked my face out, and they had me be void. And I think that Jewish people always will tell you about the trauma and the Holocaust. So one of my favorite lines on the Drink Champs, you actually hit me about this, is when Dove Charney said, hey, I want to take you to the Holocaust Museum. And I said, I want you to go to our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood. Like, we're still in the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Over 20 million darker Jews, black people, have been aborted. More babies are aborted in New York at this point than born at this point. And my thing about the media, the majority of the media, over 50% of the media, at least, it's probably 80%, but over 50% of the media is run by Jewish executives. And they allow all of this abortion-driven content that more affects the darker Jew, the black people, more than any other. God is the only power, and we are vessels. God is a true artist, and we're the vessels. And he's calling for me, for us to lean into these combinations. What they do is they'll do everything to keep the artists away from each other. Like when me and Dimna were next to each other, it was such a powerful combination. When me and Ken were next to each other, that was a powerful combination. When me and Jay-Z were next to each other, it was a powerful combination. So I love these moments of like these powerful combinations together, and whatever feel you do for like the futurists, the people who can see what the future is, the kids 20 years younger, 40 years from now, 80 years from now, when they see this, that's a big thing, is lean into those people that everyone tells you, like, you don't need to be next to that person, but you have something in your heart and your gut on why you should be next to that person. I've had people like comedians that you know of call me and said, stay away from Candace Owens. And, like literally my, I guess you use the term friends, have done the same to me, even to the point where I'm going to be on Bill Maher this week. I'm going to be on Pierce Morgan. I'm going to be I was just on Chris, how do you say his last name? What we're going to be able to do with it. Right. It's incredible. The Jewish people always will tell you about the trauma and the Holocaust. So one of my favorite lines on the Drink Champs, you actually hit me about this, is when Dove Charney said, hey, I want to take you to the Holocaust Museum. And I said, I want you to go to our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood. Like, we're still in the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Over 20 million darker Jews, black people, have been aborted.
The question that I wanted to ask you in fun, do you believe that you have bipolar? Who told you were bipolar? And when were you told that, in 2015?
I was told that by a Jewish doctor, and the information was put out by a Jewish Hollywood trainer to the Jewish media.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the day when they put me in the hospital, I had started reading the Bible really heavy and rewriting Bible verses. And when the Jewish trainer saw, and you're like looking like, well, that sounds pretty bipolar. But the Jewish trainer saw that, put me in the hospital, and then said, and then put it in the press. Actually, the day when they put me in the hospital, I had started reading the Bible really heavy. And when the Jewish trainer saw, and you're like looking like, well, that sounds pretty bipolar. But the Jewish trainer saw that, put me in the hospital, and then put it in the press.
Again, I'm going to repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not going to turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Important to underscore, first and foremost, the absurdity of the media, the way that they are behaving in that press conference. They're essentially approaching him, pretending that every single word of the documentary that Kyrie Irving did not make, he has to answer for. Could you imagine a world in which everything you watch, right, you are somehow now responsible for every single word within it? Right? There's no everybody delete your Amazon accounts because of this documentary. They are putting this firmly and squarely on Kyrie Irving, which is problematic in the first place. I want to also make it clear that in listening to his words, it is pointedly ridiculous that they would say that he is unfit to be associated with. There was nothing that he said, but I would say that he is unfit to be associated with because. Why is Kyrie Irving saying that? Why is he saying, I can't be anti-Semitic? Why is he saying that a couple of breaths after he talks about the Oxford Dictionary? So here is the definition of Semitic straight from the Oxford Dictionary. It's relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. The second definition listed is relating to the people who speak Semitic languages, especially Hebrew and Arabic. So clearly what Kyrie Irving is saying, based on that definition, is that he believes that he is Semitic, that he hails from maybe Africa or from Asia, which is what the documentary explores. And I'm going to give you my feedback because obviously I watched the documentary after listening to this, right? His feedback is, do not make the word Semitic just about Jewish people in America. It includes a lot of other people, okay? Now, you might disagree with that. You might disagree with the Oxford Dictionary definition, but you can't be mad at him for stating the actual Oxford Dictionary definition. The last thing that I want to say here, just regarding his press conference, and I want to say this really from the heart, because there was so much pressure that was put upon me to condemn Kyrie Irving, right? To condemn Kyrie Irving based on this press conference, to basically decide that his pain is irrelevant. When I watched this press conference, I felt Kyrie's pain. I felt his pain, and I will say this emotionally and not rationally, as a Black person. People don't often think about how bizarre it is that we don't know where we come from, right? We don't know. If you ask the majority of white people, they'll say, oh, my family's from Scotland. My husband's family can go back so many generations and talk about where they're from in England. And when you talk to most people, they have this sort of cultural understanding of their history. We don't. It's a weird feeling. You do sort of feel out of place. And yes, of course, it's because of the slave trade. And I'm not throwing that on anybody. I'm not saying that it's somebody else's fault. But what Kyrie Irving says is that you can't pit atrocity against another atrocity and basically say that his pain doesn't matter, that his noble pursuit of wanting to know where he came from, even if he landed on the wrong conclusions, is something that he is valid in feeling. It's a journey that he is valid in wanting to go on and wanting to partake in. So no, I'm not going to turn my back on Kyrie Irving and pretend that he's an awful human being based on this press conference. It's wrong. There are a lot of people that feel that they are in pain from the Jewish community because they're upset that he shared this link. But also, if you're not paying attention, there are a lot of Black Americans that are telling you that they feel that they're in pain because you're telling them that they're not allowed to feel the way they feel about not understanding their roots.
Side is always wrong is what I tweeted, and this caused an emotional breakdown amongst people who support Israel. I didn't think that was a controversial statement. I thought that was sort of what we all believed in. Genocide is always wrong. Anyways, for Ben, he then had some private event, probably at another Jewish donor's house, and somebody caught him standing on a table insulting me over my genocide is always wrong tweet. Take a listen to what Ben had to say.
And the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt, I think it's absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
Disreputable, disgraceful. She works at my company. You can imagine that the internet went crazy because they wanted me to respond to him. I can't believe this. They work together, they're colleagues. Somehow this gets leaked. And I want to mention, because it's very relevant, that was on the morning of November 14th. I was 6 days away from giving birth. I was very heavily pregnant. Anyways, I wake up to this, and shockingly, nobody from the Daily Wire steps in to manage the situation. And as you can imagine, virtually every journalist, every person with a media platform was contacting me to comment, to respond to me being insulted by someone. I'm about to give birth, I'm being insulted, and they're not getting anything from the Daily Wire. So I am obviously frustrated. You should also tell you, I had no PR at this time. My PR was the internal PR at the Daily Wire. And it was very clear that their focus was on protecting Ben, even though he was the one who insulted me publicly, because I said that genocide is always wrong. That is the genesis of that statement. That's all I said.
Owens is disciplined by the Rev 2939 people, and of course their position is not holding up, and she is released from the Daily Wire, and she goes undercover for a season. She's supposed to debate with Ben, but he's too intimidated to debate her. And she goes through this transformation. You see her looking here like Eliza Doolittle, being at the races, being made into My Fair Lady. And at this time, she is in Britain, and she is meeting with the Catholic Church, and she is converting to Catholicism. So Candace Owens was lately spotted here at the Derby, which is a black and red and white affair. And in case you don't know, those are some very powerful, they're the colors of the Chinese, the colors of the Illuminati, the red and the black and the white. Okay? Checkerboard plus Santa Claus, right? So anyway, she's dressed in these colors, just like Eliza Doolittle at the Kentucky Derby. And this is a signal to Svengali, her identity being shifted and changed. You have to understand the symbolism in these kinds of things. But anyway, it's true that a gag order was issued against her by Ben Shapiro, who basically enticed her with a debate, went around and spoke against her on multiple platforms, and then slapped a gag order on her so she couldn't respond. This, though, if I was a media person, is a real tactic for everybody, generating sympathy for her, so that then now all the other media people can go and defend her, which is what happened. She's being defended on multiple kind of right-wing platforms. And I think that also the other thing that happened was she had made these allegations about Macron's wife being a child predator. So take a listen to this.
Emmanuel Macron is the president of France. He is married to Brigitte Macron, okay? Their love story has always been extremely weird and extremely creepy. She is 70 years old, allegedly, and he is just 46 years old. So already right there, you have a 24-year age gap between them. And at the very least, just looking into their love story, you're looking at what might be, because they changed the age throughout the years, a story of pedophilia.
But of course, she also joined the Catholic Church, who are the #1 child predators in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, just look at this list, this extensive list. And it only accounts for the West. Make this make sense. Just go ahead and pause to read this extensive list of abuses of children by the Catholic Church. Accusations, allegations, convictions. You can just so easy to Google and understand that this, is the #1 organization for the very thing she was speaking against. Well, half of the issue anyway, the pedo thing with Macron. Can Candace be saved? Yes, she can. And can she still be saved? Yes. In the Catholic Church? No. And I found her pleas, to want to know who she is, to want to know her history and identity when she was speaking on behalf of Kanye and Kyrie to be very legitimate. So she just has to redeem herself before the creator, not even before. She didn't have to think about audience, market. She's very focused on resentment she feels towards Black women or Black women attacking her. I get that. Black women attack each other. Black women need to support each other, you know, even if they're Edomites. But she could take a whole other path. But like I said, this is kind of a Svengali moment. Her identity is being changed. Svengali is, you know, the movie about the woman whose image is transformed into, you know, from a lower class woman to an upper class woman. So they're transforming her image with this whole Kentucky Derby, Eliza Doolittle look she's got on. And she's choosing the red and black and white, Santa Claus and the black and white, you know, Masonic colors. What can I say? Red and black and white. Those are the colors of the enemy, of Edom, of China, of Illuminati, of the Masons, all of it. I am truly rooting for Candace Owens to make the switch. We're about to, as you can see from this little bit of history of hers, there seems to be a scripted Svengali mystique transformation that was anticipated for her to go through by the powers that be. And I have Tucker Carlson in here because Tucker Carlson his father was definitely an operative for the government through media. And I believe Tucker Carlson is also, if you really want to notice, he supported Trump. And a big part of Trump's campaign, and this surge campaign, as you can see, is the tie-in to the Muslims, all right? The shift to the Muslims. So, and they have split or bifurcated the Jews into two groups, into the Zionists and then the good Jews, all right? And that's really the only way politically and strategically you can handle it. Candace is really, and her team, you know, her script writers and everything have worked an amazing narrative over the last 2 years to either send everyone crashing into the Catholic Church and the Antichrist, or, as she keeps mentioning and noting through these various stages of her Svengali journey, into realizing who the true Jews are, who true Yasharel is. And that is why her work benefits the African diaspora. But it is a weapon that can also easily be turned in the other direction if she seduces people with Catholicism and with the other people still being true Israel. Then it's a double-edged sword. And I do believe she is possibly Edom and Jacob and Esau. The women rule in captivity. That's always the way that it's been. And the women are part of getting Israel out of captivity. That's why the woman delivers the child. But of course, it is Yahusha who is the deliverer ultimately. So let's go a little further into her Svengali journey, her transformative journey.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley.
You have the Jewish community beginning to call her not Candace Owens, but Candace Ovens.
Okay. Yeah. She does this. Mystique is the one that goes like this. Did you see X-Men? It was like...
I mean, I feel like that might not be as evocative as you think it is. You're just going to keep doing it? Or?
Yes, because I need you to acknowledge that I look like Mystique a little bit.
I mean, you do, but you have to kick me.
Bring this into disgraceful. Without a doubt. He is not yeah, and she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
I've put up with a lot of it, but today I draw the line. I draw the line with this miserable imp when it comes to Charlie Kirk, okay? Don't try me on this, but you keep trying me on this. You are an imposter, Ben. You're an imposter. You pay to pretend that you're friends, that you have a right to be on that stage because you get donors to pressure people, because you know Jewish people who can threaten to take money, or you say, I'm going to do an advertising spend. Here's $1 million. I'm sorry, you're dead. The entire world knows that you are an imposter. I mean, you're so much of a fraud that essentially what you do is you have people send around clips to grown men to cheer you on, to pretend like the audiences love you. You staff audiences with people that work for YAF who are told to explode into cheers when you hit the stage because you don't have the confidence anymore to go out into the world because you know people see you for what you are.
Candace alleges that the Daily Wire, before she even knew she was fired, did an entire presentation for 3 hours to the staff of Daily Wire on everything that Candace had done wrong before they informed her she was being let go. At this time, Turning Point USA had a rally where they had invited Tucker Carlson, and Ben Shapiro bought his way in there and, of course, advocated for censorship against speaking against the Jewish people and pretended that was what Charlie stood for. And, of course, Tucker Carlson said, well, I'm actually here because I was prevented from doing this Turning Point rally before because I was talking about the fact that it's America first and we have the right to free speech. So he basically ended Ben Shapiro's career at that event. Now, I believe the whole Charlie Kirk was clearly a racist. And then, of course, Candace leveraged this very well for her whole argument, cause, and her narrative.
You are such a joke of a little man. Your jealousy against Tucker, your ability to believe that you can keep manipulating the markets. You know those kids booed you on that stage. The amount of messages I got from Turning Point USA people saying, what is happening? Why is he on this stage? Standing against everything that Charlie believed in. That's what you're doing. You're standing against everything that Charlie believed in because you weren't his friend. He didn't like you for that very reason. I look at you and I just think you are such a little worm. I could see you right now, probably. What can we get out to her? We're going to sue her into bankruptcy again, right? Sue her for every infraction, every word that I don't like, and every time my feelings are hurt. Because what you really believe in is Baal Berith. That's what your people believe in. You believe that you are contract lords and that people are not allowed to violate contracts or you will ruin them for years. You fire someone and you effectively stalk and harass them for years after. I'm here to let you know that I'm done with it. I am done with it. This one is so fully off of the mother effing plantation. Truly, Ben Shapiro, fuck you and the midget horse that you rode in on. And I say that on behalf of the world. I know you're going to get applauded by Konstantin Kisin and Andrew Christ is King Clavin and all of the people, the men who have to keep applauding what you do like you're a 4-year-old to make you feel good. But the rest of the world can't stand you. You're obnoxious. You have absolutely no values that exist outside of the Talmud. You describe yourself as a Talmudic Jew, and I've learned what's in that Talmud, and I encourage other people at home to learn what is in that Talmud so that you know what Ben thinks of you, because he doesn't just hate me, he hates you too, white men. He hates all black people, okay? If he's following the rules of the Talmud, I mean, when I say hates, they think that we're animals, that they have a right to own us, that they have a right to make us worship them, that they have a right to lie to us, that they have a right to sue us and take everything that we have, that they have a right to deceive us, that they have a right to treat Charlie the way that he treated Charlie while he was alive, only to then try to defraud the population into thinking that he is somehow a part of his legacy, that he somehow cared about Charlie Kirk and cares to protect the people that are working at Turning Point USA. Goodbye, Ben. Goodbye. The question is, how much more money is Ben Shapiro going to spend to make people think that he's popular? How many more articles is his father going to write under a pen name, Hank Berrien of the Daily Wire, under the pen name Hank Berrien, as he wrote while Ben was at Breitbart, before he turned his back and betrayed them too, because that is his nature. He's one of these belly creatures, sliver on. The question is, how many more weeks and years do we have to keep pretending like Ben Shapiro is relevant? It's an open-ended question. To people that are at home, I implore you to wake up to these people who believe that they are contract lords. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men, okay? Wake up to who publishes these books and keeps us warring with one another. Christians versus Christians, right? Christians versus Muslims. Wake up and learn the true history of slavery, because that wasn't exactly a white men sport, okay? Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it, but it's there, and you can find it. I think all of us need to wake up to this, because it's making me absolutely sick that he is so bold that he dare sit near Charlie Kirk's chair, that he dare grace that stage when Charlie Kirk knew exactly what Ben Shapiro was and will always be. So again, on your belly, Ben Shapiro. And I feel that way. I feel like all of this is us just breaking the shackles. Like there have just been mental shackles that have been put on us, telling us we have to stay in line, that we have to accept this, that we have to believe in this arbitrary authority. And everyone around the world is waking up to it. Like we are just waking up to how absolutely duped we have become as a society, believing that this system is fair when it's so clearly rigged in our faces. And yeah, I just hope that people feel inspired to similarly go max and stand up against it. And I don't even care about these lawsuits anymore. I mean, Ben's going to get me a legal letter so fast. I don't care, man. Trying to pretend like you care about free speech while you privately sue people who are just trying to leave your company after they're fired. You fired me. Like let me go. Like, please let me go. Stop telling people you're chosen. You are not chosen to do shit except within the synagogue of Satan, clearly, because everything you do is the manufacturing of lies, bullying, getting people to write articles, smearing, libeling. Yeah, it's pretty explicit what kind of people engage in that sort of stuff. Why are you hosting 300 people to fire someone? What is that? Here's what she did wrong. Here's what she did wrong. And I'm just like the one who doesn't even flinch. Because literally F you. Yeah, literally F you. I don't care. Stop. Kanye was right. He was totally right. That's why he burned down his life and said, I'd rather rebuild it than let you own 1 ounce of it. And when you do rebuild it and they don't own it, well, then you get into a scary territory, right? You get into a scary territory because what they are willing to do to take when they can't earn it, it's very scary. History tells us and shows us. KXH writes, they're angry that Candace is intelligent, eloquent, beautiful, and stays beating them at every turn. I'm so glad that you spoke up about the racial element of this. You're a role model to us Black women everywhere. Candace, go Max. Yeah, guys, Black people just got to learn your history, man. You got to learn the minstrel shows, who's behind the minstrel shows, and, you know, the truth behind the Jim Crow laws, and even when you learn about the Klansmen, I mean, the things that happened, and all they had to do was control our textbooks and keep us all fighting each other. And you're out here talking about what the white man has done. Who do you think tried to genocide the white man in Europe, right? Yeah, take a look at that. I keep telling you, watch that PBS documentary that they came after me hardcore for speaking about. What the savage piece? Yeah, those are your ancestors, guys. Yeah. You are European, like white Europeans. These are your ancestors. And with propaganda, they basically mow the lawn. They get you as white men to sign up and agree to murder white men on the other side of the world. It's white men murdering white men, and for different reasons being propagandized. Wake up. Like, we all need to wake up and lock arms against sheer evil. And the military-industrial complex is sheer evil. And the psychological games they are playing with people, they're playing on people, is sheer evil. What Charlie was going through in the end, because of Jewish donors threatening him, I'm going to take everything, if you even let Tucker speak, over speech, is sheer evil. It's despicable. Somebody should apologize for it. Instead, they go, we'll buy our way, and Benny will sit near Charlie's chair, and we'll pretend he was his friend. We can just buy everything. We'll buy your compliance. No, actually, our answer to that is no.
So I say judge nothing before it's time. But what do you think about this family? At the very least, the awakening is being exposed on a massive level. And everyone can repent. So let me know your thoughts. Shalom.
That's where I take my refuge.
Be sure to go to intoalltruth.net to pick up the Moedim Appointed Times calendar, as well as Chaya Eat Life and Fast, the Hebraic Lifestyle and Cookbook. It's also a health book to help you with your natural health, the Hebraic way, according to the ways taught to
Arise
Noah.
of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Give him thanks by saying hallelujah.